A big welcome to what is now day 6, I believe, of Control the Controllables live, and it's great to see you. You might, those that have been following the last few days, you'll see I'm in a different location, and the reason I'm in a different location is Wi-Fi struggles, and I was doing it from my bedroom here in Riyadh, and I think it went okay for a few nights. But last night I had Freddie Nielsen on. We had a bit of a problem being able to finish the stream. So apologies for that. And you might hear a little bit of music in the background. I've managed to find what I was the quietest public space in the hotel here. I've just had actually Sue Way has just walked past with her family, and she's just had a victory tonight, an incredible victory actually. Sue Way and Mertens have taken down Ostapenko and Kitchenok, who were the number 1 seeds here, and I believe are knocked out of the event now, or if not very close to being knocked out of the event, losing 6-1, 6-3 to Sue Way and Mertens tonight. And yeah, just seeing other people, just different various teams walking past as the day's finished, which is kind of cool. They're looking at me thinking, what's this guy doing? But maybe that makes it a little bit more authentic. It brings Riyadh WTA Finals to you, and that's my starting point actually. If I mentioned there Sue Way, and a little bit of insight from the last couple of days. She's here with her brother, who looks just like her, who plays just like her. And if anyone who has watched Sue Way play, it's like this most unique brand of tennis, two-handed forehands, skill level off the charts, and the brother's doing exactly the same. And then what I believe is the brother's daughter, so Sue Way's, it's actually Sue Way's, it's Sue Way's niece. And Sue Way's niece must be aged like 9 or 10, plays exactly the same. two-handed backhand, slicing and dicing, playing like little low-cut smashes. So it maybe is just, it's in the blood, but it's also, I guess, the way that they teach tennis in certain parts of Taipei as well. So so that's that. I'm not going to have anyone on with me today. I just wanted to kind of give a little bit of an update, keep this relatively short. Thank you to everyone that has been joining. I've just been told it is day 7, so there you go. It all rolls into one a little bit, but it's been a fantastic first week here in Riyadh. And one of the big questions, obviously, people have been asking is around the fans. You know, they've put 15.5 million into the prize money pot. They've made this incredible new facility. It's built in a university, but they've kind of redone the stadium completely. You know, there's a lot of money being spent. There's no expense being spared really in terms of what's been put into the event. And I actually had a conversation with Tim Henman yesterday at lunch, and Tim won't mind me repeating this because I believe there's been newspaper articles in the UK on this today, so I think he's been quite vocal on Sky Sports as well on this, of just like, what's going on? Why are they not filling the stadiums? And certainly for Gabby and Erin's match yesterday, we're talking maybe 500-600 people maybe were there. You know, it's about a 5,000 stadium. For the singles matches, you got a little bit more, but really not that much more. I was watching Sabalenka today, 50% full if we're lucky. The TV is quite clever because you've got the light on the courts and then it's dark in the stands. It's beautiful, it's stunning. The visual's fantastic, but why can't we get people in? And you know, that is definitely a disappointing part of it. It's probably the only disappointing part so far really on what's being put on here. And you know, like Tim was saying, like, go to the local schools, surely. You know, let's pack the stadium, let's get kids, let's really make a difference in this region. You know, that's what this has been. There's been big talk of that, and yes, there's WTA put things in place, and I know that Nicole Pratt is here from Tennis Australia. She's been running workshops with coaches, you know, trying to upskill the coaches. Judy Murray and a few others have been here working with, you know, players, various players, and being kind of spending time going into the area. We just had Arina Sabalenka's team has just walked past there, so it's exciting here. This doesn't happen in the bedroom. All of these people walking past, so you're getting a bit more of a flavour here. But yeah, so why not? And that would be a little bit of a question, and that kind of brings to me the question: is it that are they not bothered? And is there maybe a bigger thing here that sport's almost becoming a bit of an armchair sport, armchair viewing, now that would really kill me, because it's just live sport. There's nothing like it, just the buzz, the like being here as a coach and being at the side of that court. 7-6, 6-4 win for Gabby and Erin the other day, and saving set point, and going through that excitement, and just the feeling that it gives you, the intensity of emotions that you feel, really is incredible. And that's something that you can't quite pick up the same, when you're watching at home. And we've got Netflix that now are doing various things. It's a little bit of an instant gratification world. You'll have people say, why would I bother with the hassle of driving and parking and doing all these things when I can just sit there, I can get a beer, I can get a cup of water, a glass of water, a cup of tea, whatever it might be, and I can just have the sport in my home. So let me know in the comments, if you've got any questions or you've got any comments on that, please do let me know. Is sport becoming an armchair activity? Are we going away from live sport being the way that people want to consume it? And is that where the future lies? The advertising money that that you're going to get a lot more eyes on a sporting event when people are watching it from home. I don't know, but certainly disappointing so far. The one time we did have a pretty much full stadium here was the night that Neymar was here. So they're coming out in their droves to watch, or to just maybe put their eyes on some celebrity rather than appreciating this incredible tennis. So let's hope that raises and rises over the next few days, and I'll certainly keep you posted on that. And I know grumpy Tim Henman will be much happier if they start to fill the stadium. That's for sure. And in terms of the tennis, I mean the tennis itself, been a bit of a strange day, really. Certainly, if I start with the doubles, there's been two almost kind of whitewash matches that have happened. We've seen so many closely fought matches. There is a little bit of altitude here as well. I don't know if people realise that, 630 metres, I believe we are. So people are talking about it kind of flying a little bit, but it's also flying through the air. So there's been more service holds than you'd often see. But we had Siniakov and Townsend, who I must admit are looking like a formidable pair, and they certainly on paper they would be the favourites at this event, I would say. They haven't lost too many matches together. I think they won Wimbledon in one of their first tournaments, semi-finals of US Open, and I think this is only their fourth or fifth tournament together. They beat Malakar and Perez pretty convincing today, and then the big shock match tonight, which I certainly didn't see that one coming, but a 6-1, 6-3 victory for Sue Wayne Mertens over Ostapenko Kichenok. I didn't see any of that match. Definitely intrigued to go and watch some of that one. And then we got the singles matches. We've had earlier on today, we had Rybakina against Qinwen Zheng, and I have to mention that the crowd maybe was 50-60% full, but I would say 90% of those were Chinese fans, and they went for it, and that was great actually to feel the atmosphere coming through that stadium. And Qinwen, it's just more match tight. I think Rybakina played a little bit of a better match today. She started to find the serve a little bit, but you could see just doesn't quite have the matches under her belt. Qinwen, as we talked about at the very start of this week, is arguably the second in-form player behind Sabalenka. Going into this event, and I think it's an intriguing match in a couple of days' time now, because she now has the knockout match, just her and Jasmine Paolini, who again, when we look on paper, has won so many matches this year, has played so much tennis, and she put up a hell of a fight actually against Sabalenka. I was on court watching that one today, and Sabalenka's so intense the intensity she plays with. But Paolini just seemed to just find a way. She just feathers the ball back. She finds a nice length, and then as soon as she gets on that forehand, she's dangerous. And she actually had two set points in the second set today against Sabalenka. Put herself in a position to take that to a third set, and I personally have a maybe slight favourite over Qinwen Zheng later this week. It's going to be a really interesting match. I can see her potentially coming through that, but I think that is a blockbuster matchup because they're playing for a big prize. They're playing for big money to go through to the semi-finals, and then have a chance against someone coming through the other group, which we'll get to later, who I'm not convinced they are looking as good, as the group that we had today. So that's going to be interesting. And then this is a bit of a bold statement, but Rybakina to beat Sabalenka in a couple of days' time. Sabalenka's qualified top. Being interesting to be a fly on the wall if they're talking about that, because I talked about this at the very, very start of the week, and that was, is Sabalenka going to have enough in the tank to play 5 matches of that intensity over a 6-7 day window? Now, if Arina Sabalenka chooses, not that she's going to not try, of course, but if she chooses to take this one a little bit lighter, she still qualifies top going into Friday. It gives her a bit of an easier time. She's then ready for one last push Friday and Saturday to finish the year as world number 1. And I just wouldn't be surprised at this level if you take your foot off the gas 5%. It makes a big difference. Rybakina's already out, but she's obviously excited. She's got a new coach in Goran Ivanisevic starting next year. She's now got a couple of matches under her belt. She could come out swinging. I just have a little inkling that match might end up being a win for Rybakina. But that's been the tennis today. It's been great to see the media coverage over here as well. That's one thing I'd definitely like to just give a little mention to. Obviously, Sky Sports are doing a fantastic job. Their presence is felt. As soon as the players are finished, they're off to get their interviews. It really is, like Freddie Nielsen was saying last night, it's a proper event. It's a grand event. We were on court. It was nice actually that practice today. You kind of practice and you've won your first match in a World Tour Finals, and you've got a day's rest to prepare for the next day. It's a feel-good practice, and obviously we're working on specifics. We've got our game plans. We're staying sharp. We want match intensity. I don't like it when players kind of just tickle the ball around in that day off. It's nice to stay in that kind of match intensity and sharpness, especially with it being so quick, and it's coming down to a lot of reaction volleys out here on the doubles court. But we had an hour on the court, and then Sabalenka came on our court, and then we followed Coco Gauff. So we were right in that kind of period of the day where the media were out in their droves again, and you saw all the kind of American, I think it's Blair Henley, who I think is maybe Tennis Channel. You've got all the big cameras and the kind of big deal that's been made around certainly Coco Gauff, and that's again one more little point. I'd love everyone's thoughts on this. I see 3 superstars, having spent time around everybody. And what do I mean by a superstar? And I guess there's a tennis element to it, right? Of course there is. And these players have won big tournaments, and they're young and they're going to be around for a long time, but they carry an aura. It's something a bit different. There's a different feel about them. And the first one I think is obvious, Arina Sabalenka. She has that character, she has that personality. She just has this. She's really put herself kind of above the clouds, I would say, in terms of the aura. But she's a superstar. People magnetize to her. We talked about that earlier in the week. She does a TikTok. She's got this grand personality that everyone feels, but obviously takes great pride in her craft as well. Is like putting the work in, but she's almost like the representation, I guess, in Europe. Then we move to America, and it's just Coco Gauff, just star quality, just like she just oozes it. She's a superstar. She really is, and the cameras are there. You can see that they want a bit of Coco. Everyone wants a bit of Coco. Everyone wants to speak to Coco. Everyone wants to hear about Coco. Um, and yeah, and as we talked about a lot earlier this week, she has the tennis to go with it. And um, it's time will tell if she's got the tennis that's going to take her on to that next level that Sabalenka's starting to now. But there's your North American influencer right there, and then Asia. We move to Asia because tennis has to have these locals. Somebody like a Roger Federer, a Rafael Nadal, they're almost so global. They've made their way through all of the regions. Whereas I do think it's important that we have representation around the world, from all of the different locations. Just as it's important we have male and female representation, and Qin Wenjiang, superstar. You saw it today. She's going to have the crowd behind her this week. The Chinese crowd, 1.4 billion people in China, have come out again, big. I spent time in China earlier in October, and she is literally like Beyonce. She is huge. Wherever she goes, 4, 5, 6 bodyguards around her, and it's interesting because I saw something today where Qin Wen was saying, "I don't need friends. Why do I need friends on the tour?" And there is kind of that feeling of like, "Poor, she's a bit up herself, isn't she?" And I don't know the girl. I know she's bloody good at tennis, but I also know that she just has again that kind of diva star quality about her. There's an aura about her. She walks around a bit like Maria Sharapova used to have. It's almost this kind of their noses turned up, like, who the hell are you? I'm Qin Wenjiang, and that's what I'm doing, and I've got to say I like it. I like that. I like the characters, and I like the representation around the world. But the one that then stood out to me, it was like, obviously when we talk about the Middle East. Ons Jabeur, I know, and like Ons is obviously, she is here, she's not playing here, but again she's got that star quality, and I think her losses in the Wimbledon final, I think we all felt it, that she almost had a whole continent on her shoulders, carrying something bigger, and especially in this region of the world, to have a female that is excelling and doing that with such joy and expression. I think she is just an incredible role model to have. But the one that seems to go amiss, and I had a little look before I jumped on, is South America. And because I think we miss a trick in tennis with South America. Whenever there's a tournament there, oh my goodness, do they support it. The crowds go crazy for tennis in South America. Absolutely crazy. Obviously, we've had the Argentine males over the years. There's a young Brazilian coming through on the male side, but on the female side, I looked, and okay, I got to Haddad Maia quite early in the rankings, number 17. Again, I don't know her, and this is not a diss, but she's not a superstar. She's a brilliant tennis player, but she turns up, but she's not someone that's really capturing the imagination. And then I had to go down, and I got to Osorio from Colombia before I got to the next South American player. And that's at like 64 in the world. And again, that kind of brought a question in my head, like, why? What's not happening in South America? How are we growing the sport in that part of the world? So any South Americans listening, please let me know. Again, send your comments in, send your questions in. I'd love to know how the sport is going to be grown a little bit more there. I know it's a massive sport, but how are you going to get players at the end? And we want to have, like somebody actually said this to me the other day, there's not that many even Spanish speaking players right now in this current world. There's not that many Spanish speaking players, and actually what we do have in terms of the Spanish speaking players is Rafael Nadal's come towards the end of his towards the end of his career, and uh, and how lucky have we got that then Carlos Alcaraz has just jumped right in and taken that spot. You know, he's just completely jumped in and taken that spot, and it's almost been like a little bit of a seamless. It's been a bit of a seamless move, and for Spanish speaking tennis players, you know, that's helped, and that'll help in the regions in South America as well. So anyone that's got any comments on that, please do let me know. I don't see any questions coming in today. I do want to just touch on the matches tomorrow. We've got some obviously interesting matchups. We've got Coco and Iga. Is Iga a superstar? That's another question I'll give. You know, she's obviously there in the rankings, but does she have that superstar quality? I don't know. As much as I love Iga Swiatek, I'm not quite sure that she does have that absolute star quality. But she's going to come up against Coco Gauff. She normally has her number. And now we didn't see the best Iga in the first round. The court surface again is not necessarily suiting Iga. I would say that Iga will still have the better of Coco tomorrow, but I think if Coco's going to get her, I think tomorrow is definitely an opportunity. So that's going to be an intriguing one. And then Jess Pegula, I'm hoping she's going to bounce back, because I don't think she performed well at all. And what's the interesting little caveat of that match is she wins that match. Coco beats Iga, which is possible. You're then going to have Pegula against Swiatek on Thursday, with the loser being eliminated. And I think Iga's in a little bit of trouble. If it comes to that, I actually think that's a really tough match for Iga. If it comes down to that, so Iga will be wanting to get her place in the semi-finals sewn up tomorrow, and Jess Pegula will want to be keeping her dream alive, right? You know, and I don't think it was a performance that she would be overly proud of the other day. So let's see how she responds tomorrow as well. My girls, Gabby and Erin, are up against the little Italians who have had an incredible year in Paolini and Arani, and it's exciting. It's an exciting match. You know, we're well prepared. We've done our due diligence, you know, as always. I'm sure they have as well, and it's going to be let's let the best team win. You know, the best team on the day. Gonna put that on the court and see where it takes them. And then you've then got Chana Kudermetova, who I've watched it back today, played a great match against Gabby and Erin, and they come up against Desiree Kravchuk and Caroline Dollarhide in the final doubles match tomorrow night. So we will be back tomorrow night, hopefully with a smile on my face, after another good performance from Gabby and Erin. I will try and get a guest for us to come and join us to talk through as we go in towards the final matches of the group stage here in Riyadh. Let's hope that the crowds start to get a little bit bigger. Any questions you guys have, as ever, please send them over. Anything that you want to know, any little bit of insight, we're here to help. But until next time, I'm Dan Kiernan, and we are Control the Controllables.